This is the exact strategy that I use to trade futures prop firms, and I'm going to share it right here in this video. So make sure you watch to the end because you're not going to want to miss it. Now, before I get into this, I do have a free Telegram that you can join. The link is in the description below. Inside of that Telegram, I go over my morning analysis in a video format, and it is completely free for you to hop in and take a look at that to see how I'm trading the futures market and what I'm looking for on that particular day. Now, let's get into it. I'm going to head over to the charts. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say here is financial advice. Trading is risky. Most people do lose all the capital they trade with. Everything here is simply for educational purposes only, and I don't make any promises or guarantees that anyone can achieve a specific result. So with that said, let's get into it. I'm going to head over to the charts now. Again, make sure you go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions you may have in the comments below. Let's hop over to the charts now. I'm going to show you a trade I actually took on Friday and a couple setups, and these are the exact setups that I trade futures prop firms with and also trade my personal capital with. So let's take a look now. All right, so here I am on YM, which are the futures for the Dow. Now, I like this particular symbol simply because it tends to work well with my strategy. It tends to work well with order blocks and inverse fair value gaps, and I'm going to get into that here in just a minute as I walk you through these particular setups that I actually took this past Friday. Now, I also trade NQ, Platinum, Gold, and a few others, but for this particular example, it just seems to work very well, at least for me. I don't know if it'll work well for you, but I'm happy to share my setups here and my ideas and my opinions on technical analysis. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm on the 1 hour chart. So there are two different ways that I viewed this trade. Number one, I'm looking for an order block on higher time frames, and then I'm going to drop down to the lower time frames to find my entry. I'm going to share with you how I do that here. So very simply put, I'm going to draw up my order block right here from Friday. So there it is on the charts. Now, I'm not going to get into too many specifics as to why this is an order block right here, but just know that there's a blue candle wicking out here. And for me, my theory is this is wicking down to take out all the sellers. They have a strong push up to create this order block. Now, I like to start trading right around 10 a.m. on the YM. Now, right here on my charts, you're going to see this says 1300. That is actually 9 a.m. Eastern. So I am going to mark that off my charts. So when I zoom down to lower time frames, it's really easy to see that here. All right. So I actually had two trades on YM on Friday. One was my manual discretionary trading that I'm going to share with you here, and the other was my algo that actually took a trade higher up, and both of them hit full TP. It was kind of crazy, but I'm going to share with you my manual trading setup here. So this is the order block. Now let's drop down to the 5-minute because this is where I'm going to begin analyzing things. All right, now that I'm down here on the 5-minute chart, what I'm looking for is a retest of this order block after the market open. So I've already marked off 9 a.m. Eastern right here. So I'm going to push this over to about 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And there it is right here. Now, what I like to do when I see price coming back into a higher time frame order block, there are a couple other confluences or confirmations that I'm looking for. And the one I was looking here for was called a inverse fair value gap. You may or may not heard of that terminology, but I'm going to draw it up here in the charts so that you can see that here and see what that looks like. So right here, I'm just going to draw it real quick on the 5-minute. We had one right here. All right. So this is a fair value gap. I'm going to mark it off right here. This is a bearish fair value gap. So when price comes up above here and it closes above this particular fair value gap, that's inversing it. So I was looking to go long at the close of this particular candle, in which I did. This was my manual trade on Friday, and then I had to stop down below the swing low here. So the way I like to trade YM is I like to trail my trade. All right, now this one did get full TP. I tend to find that I personally tend to do a little better if I trail my stop as price is moving in my direction here. So when I entered this trade, looking left, we were actually headed to all-time highs. So there's really nothing to target here for me personally. So what I did was I just figured I'd go for a 1-to-1 right about here. And that's when I started to trail my stop up here. So right about here, I moved it to break even. And then I'm trailing up from here by about 30 to 40 ticks. So this was my personal entry that I took on Friday. I did take this one here on my Top Step account. Now the second entry is very similar to this, but my algorithm that I have developed actually took the second trade here, and I'm going to share that one with you. Now, I'm going to be very honest here. When my algorithm took this trade, I was very uncomfortable because I didn't think it was going to work. But that's the beauty of having an algorithm, is that it takes trades. It's a robot. It doesn't have any feelings. It just takes trades the way it was meant to take them. So I'm going to walk you to that now so you can see that particular setup. And it's very much the same. The only difference here is it's looking for a 5-minute order block, and it's not confirming off of the higher time frame order blocks. So I'm going to draw it up here so you can see that, and I'll explain to you why it's an order block. All right, so here was my first entry again, right here. My manual trade on my Top Step account was right here. This hit full TP right in at about here to 100 and some ticks. The second entry that I actually took on my personal account, I let my algorithm do that work for me, and that was right here. This was an order block that it drew up for me, and then what it did was it took a trade automatically on a retest of this right here. Now, I have to say, this was pretty late in the day. If I look at this here, it was, and again, this was just a wick. It was wicking out here. Now, it wasn't a strong wick, but I have coded it in such a way that if this candle right here, if it wicks down below the previous, it's going to consider that an order block, and how I determine order blocks from a mechanical standpoint. So I have to say that looking left, again, we were all-time highs. From the New York Open, price had already moved up a substantial amount. It already moved up, this far here. We were up something like, 0.4% or 0.4% on the Dow futures here, which was a pretty big move. I really didn't think this was going to just have a straight run up and go to TP, and it did. And again, that's the beauty of the way I designed my algo to trade, is that it trades how I got it to trade as close as possible to how I trade personally from a discretionary standpoint. It's not exact, but it's close enough. It's close enough to where I'm happy with what it's doing currently. Now, I could have taken this trade manually. I didn't, because there's no reason to. I've already taken this one here early on my Top Step account. So this one moved up, and then it actually trailed by 36 ticks. So if I mark this off here to 36, and I could have done all this manually again, it really doesn't make a difference to me. But when this moved up here, you can see right off this entry here, it begins trailing right about 30 ticks. So it would have trailed, it would have started right there at 30, and then it would trail by 36. And you can see as price moves up this entire time, it never comes back. It never came back 36 ticks. It went all the way to the TP. So these are my two trades on Friday. There was a trade on Thursday, which was very similar to the same setup here with a retest off of the 1-hour order block. And this is exactly how I trade my futures prop firms accounts, as well as my personal account from time to time, depending if I determine I want to take that particular position on my personal account there. So this here for me personally works well. Again, I don't know if it'll work for you, but I'm not getting into too much detail on the order blocks here. If you want to join my free Telegram group, the link is in the description below, where I go over my morning analysis. I actually went over this trade before it even happened in that group. I drew up this order block down here. I said what I was looking for, and then it played out perfectly. Now, it doesn't always happen this perfectly. I have to be very honest with you, but on Friday, it just happened to be that way here. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to add a comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer that. And don't forget to join my free Telegram group there. That is all that I have for now, and we'll see you soon.